Tonight we venture into the mist-shrouded world of Saxon England, where kings ruled from wooden halls, warriors sang of glory over horn cups of mead, and most people just hoped the harvest wouldn't fail. A time when your biggest worry wasn't paying taxes, but whether that cough meant the plague or just too much wood smoke. So grab something warm to drink, settle by your fireplace, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. It's fascinating to see our global audience, especially since our Saxon ancestors thought the world ended at the next village over. Now, dim those lights, and let's step back to 8th century England together. Dawn in Saxon England. You wake not to an alarm clock, but to the sound of your lord's cockerel announcing another day of survival. Your hut sits in a cluster of similar buildings within the wooden palisade that marks your village. The walls are wattle and daub, essentially mud, straw, and prayers, holding together a frame of oak branches. Your bed is a raised platform covered in straw and animal skins. It's elevated because the floor is just packed earth, and when the rains come, everything floods. You share this sleeping space with your spouse, children, and probably a few chickens who've decided indoor living suits them. The smell hits you immediately: wood smoke, unwashed bodies, wet thatch, and the distinct aroma of the midden pit just outside. There's no glass in your single window, just an opening with wooden shutters. In winter, you choose between light and warmth. Today, you choose warmth. You dress in your tunic, a long shirt that reaches your knees. It's made of wool dyed brown with walnut hulls, because bright colors are for nobles who can afford imported dyes. Over this goes a cloak fastened with a bronze pin your grandfather hammered out 20 years ago. Your shoes are leather wrapped around your feet and tied with thongs. Comfortable, they are not. Your wife stirs the fire back to life, adding dried cow dung to the embers. Yes, dung burns well when wood is scarce. No, you don't think about it while eating. Breaking the fast breakfast is ale and bread. Not because you're an alcoholic, but because ale is safer than water. The brewing process kills the nasties that live in streams and wells. Even children drink weak ale from dawn to dusk. The bread is coarse and dark, made from whatever grains survived the winter. Barley, oats, maybe some wheat if you've been blessed by the harvest gods. It's baked in communal ovens because individual families can't afford their own. You tear off chunks and dip them in the ale to soften them. Your teeth aren't what they used to be. If you're fortunate, there might be cheese made from your goat's milk, or eggs from those indoor chickens. But protein is precious. The animals are worth more alive than dead. They give milk, eggs, and wool. Meat happens when an animal dies naturally, or during the great feasts. Your children eat in order of age and importance. The oldest son gets the most food, because he'll inherit the land. Daughters get enough to keep them healthy for marriage negotiations. This isn't cruelty, it's mathematics in a world where there's never enough. The Lord's Hall. After breaking your fast, you make your way to the Great Hall. Not because you live there, you're not nobility, but because your Lord has summoned all his subjects for the day's work assignments. The hall dominates the village, a long wooden building with a high roof supported by massive oak beams. Smoke from the central fire pit curls up to escape through holes in the thatch. Along the walls hang shields, spears, and tapestries that tell stories of battles won and glory earned. Your lord sits in his high chair, literally high, raised on a platform so everyone must look up at him. He's dressed in finer wool than yours, with gold arm rings and a sword at his side. These aren't decorations, they're statements. The arm rings show his wealth. The sword shows his power. He assigns the day's labor. Some will work his domain land. Others will repair the palisade. And the women will weave cloth for trade. You're assigned to help with the harvest because your back is still strong and your hands skilled with a sickle. Payment isn't coin. There isn't much of that, but food, protection, and a place in the community. Your lord feeds those who work his land, defends them from raiders, and settles their disputes. In return, you give him labor, loyalty, and a portion of everything you produce. In the fields stretch beyond the village in long strips. Each family works several strips scattered across different areas, some in good soil, some in poor, ensuring everyone gets a fair chance at survival. Your strips are marked by boundary stones your great-grandfather helped place. Today you're harvesting barley with a sickle, a curved blade attached to a wooden handle. It's back-breaking work, bending to cut each stalk by hand. The grain must be gathered quickly, before rain ruins it or birds steal it. Every kernel matters. Other villagers work nearby strips. This isn't just efficient, it's survival. If bandits or raiders approach, someone will spot them and raise the alarm. You work in sight of neighbors because isolation means death. The sun climbs higher, and sweat soaks your tunic despite the cool air. Your hands blister from the sickle handle, but you don't stop. Winter is coming, and hungry times are ahead if the harvest fails. Children help by gathering the cut stalks into bundles. Even the youngest can be useful, and idle hands mean wasted food. Your daughter, barely 7, works beside you, learning the skills she'll need to survive in this harsh world. The midday meal. When the sun reaches its peak, work stops for food. This isn't a leisurely lunch break. It's fuel for the afternoon's labor. You sit in whatever shade you can find and share bread, cheese, and small ale with your family. The food is simple but filling. Bread baked yesterday, hard cheese aged in your hut's rafters, and ale drawn from ceramic jugs. If you're lucky, your wife has brought pottage, a thick stew of vegetables and grains that stretches ingredients into something substantial. Conversation is practical. Which strips still need harvesting? Whether the weather will hold? News from other villages brought by traveling merchants. Entertainment is scarce, but gossip flows freely. Who's courting whom? Which family is struggling? Whether the local priest is as holy as he claims. You rest exactly long enough to restore your strength. Every hour of daylight is precious, and winter's approach drives everyone to work with desperate efficiency. Afternoon labor. The afternoon brings more harvesting, but also threshing, separating grain from stalks by beating bundles with wooden flails. It's rhythmic work that allows for conversation and singing. Work songs help coordinate the flailing and make time pass more quickly. Your lord's reeve, his appointed overseer, walks among the workers, ensuring no one slacks. He's not cruel, but he's firm. Everyone's survival depends on bringing in the maximum harvest, and his job is to see that happens. Children chase birds away from the grain piles. Sparrows and crows can steal significant amounts if left unchecked, and every grain lost is food taken from winter stores. Your youngest son throws stones and shouts with the other children, turning necessity into play. As shadows lengthen, the pace intensifies. Racing against darkness, workers move with practiced efficiency. This routine has been refined over generations, every motion calculated for maximum productivity. Evening in the hall. As darkness falls, the community gathers in the Lord's Hall for the evening meal. This isn't charity. It's part of the feudal contract. Those who work the Lord's land eat at his table, creating bonds of loyalty and mutual obligation. The hall fills with smoke, voices, and the smell of roasted meat. Tonight, there's mutton, an old sheep that stopped producing wool. It's tough and gamey, but after a day of hard labor, it tastes like a feast. You sit at long tables according to your status. Warriors sit closest to the Lord, then skilled craftsmen, then farmers like yourself. Everyone knows their place, and order prevents conflict in a world where violence is always close to the surface. The meal includes bread, porridge made from today's threshed grain, and ale served in horn cups or wooden bowls. The Lord and his warriors drink from glass vessels traded from the continent, symbols of wealth and connection to the wider world. Entertainment and stories. After eating comes entertainment. A traveling scop, a poet-musician, sings tales of heroes and battles. These aren't just stories. They're history lessons, moral instruction, and cultural identity rolled into ancient verses. Tonight, he tells of Beowulf's battle with Grendel, his voice rising and falling with the drama. Warriors nod approval at descriptions of courage and loyalty. Children listen wide-eyed to tales of monsters and magic. The songs serve multiple purposes. They preserve history in a largely illiterate society, reinforce values of courage and loyalty, and provide entertainment in a world with few diversions. The scop is fed and housed in exchange for his art. Between songs, people share news and gossip. A merchant has brought word of Viking raids to the north. A neighboring lord seeks alliance through marriage. The harvest in the next valley was poor, meaning refugees might arrive seeking shelter. Preparing for sleep. As the fire burns low, families drift back to their huts. You bank your own fire carefully. Letting it die means no warmth or light until you can restart it. A difficult task without matches. Your family huddles together under wool blankets and animal skins. Body heat is precious, and survival depends on sharing warmth. The children sleep between parents, protected from the cold by living walls of flesh. Outside, you can hear the night sounds of Saxon England. Owls hunting, wolves howling in distant forests, the wind whistling through the palisade gaps. These sounds aren't peaceful. They're reminders of the dangers that darkness brings. You pray briefly to Christ, but also whisper older words to older gods. Christianity is still new here, layered over beliefs that stretch back to the time before memory. Better to hedge your spiritual bets in a world full of uncertainties. The deeper rhythms. This day represents the rhythm that governs Saxon life. Work dictated by seasons, survival dependent on community, and identity tied to the land your ancestors worked. There are no individual dreams of advancement, only the collective hope that this year's harvest feeds the village through winter. Your world extends only as far as you can walk in a day. Beyond that lies mystery, danger, and other peoples who might be enemies. The next village could be allies or threats, and you may never know which until they arrive with swords or grain. Status isn't about money, there isn't much, but about relationships. Your Lord protects you, you serve your Lord. Your neighbors help with harvests, you help with theirs. The smith makes your tools, you provide him grain. Everything connects in a web of mutual obligation. Time moves differently here. Seasons matter more than days, harvests more than hours. You age not by birthdays, but by winters survived. And wisdom comes from knowing when to plant, when to reap, and when to prepare for the lean months ahead. The weight of survival. Life in Saxon England carries a weight modern people can barely imagine. Every decision, what to plant, whom to marry, which lord to serve, affects not just your own survival, but your family's future for generations. You live with the constant possibility of disaster. Crop failure means starvation. Disease means death. Raiders mean destruction. There are no safety nets, no insurance policies, no government aid. Your community is your only protection against chaos. Yet within these constraints, people find joy, love, and meaning. Children play despite the hardships. Couples find romance despite arranged marriages. And communities celebrate despite constant threats. Humans adapt, endure, and find ways to thrive even in the harshest circumstances. The hall fills with laughter despite empty bellies, songs despite sorrow, and hope despite uncertainty. This is the deeper truth of Saxon England. Life is hard, but it is still life, and people protect it, nurture it, and pass it on with fierce determination. Legacy in the darkness. As you drift toward sleep in your smoke-filled hut, surrounded by the sounds of your family breathing and the distant howl of wolves, you're part of a story larger than your individual existence. You're a link in the chain connecting the Roman past to the Norman future, preserving language, customs, and bloodlines through the turbulent centuries. Your children will face different challenges, perhaps Viking raids, perhaps Norman conquest, perhaps plague or famine, but they'll face them with the same stubborn resilience you've shown, the same commitment to community and family that keeps civilization alive in its darkest hours. Tomorrow will bring another day of the same. Hard work, simple food, careful alliances, and quiet hopes. You'll wake to the cockerel's call, break your fast with ale and bread, and return to the fields that sustain life in Saxon England. But tonight, in the darkness of your humble hut, you are part of something enduring. You are the foundation upon which kingdoms rise and fall, the steady heartbeat that keeps culture alive through centuries of change. In the morning, you'll wake to another day of survival. But for now, you sleep the sleep of those who have earned their rest through honest labor, surrounded by the family and community that make life worth living in the challenging world of Saxon England.